All right, we are on air. I apologize for my camera still not working, but I'm going to try and do a screen share instead, maybe. Share desktop. Wonder what else is on my desktop. Okay, can you guys see the issue?
No.
Oh. Huh. Maybe I'm not going to do a screen share. What do you see? Do you see anything other than that logo?
Yeah, I see the talking logo.
Huh. Let me try it again. Turn off, turn on, start. Hey, okay. How about now?
Yes.
Okay, yay. All right, I'm gonna go back to the agenda and we'll start there. So Tom, two things I wanted to hash out today was to figure out our plan for the blog post and the newsletter, specifically around Backdrop 1.6, which comes out in 3 days. I know that this is the first time we've ever known ahead of time exactly what was going to be in that release because of our feature freeze. So I was thinking we could try and come up with content for the blog post ahead of time, and then when we do the release, we would just need to publish it. And so what I thought we might do, and I could use your help on this, is if I made or someone made a bullet list of like, these are the features we want to highlight, if you could write some content around using those features, like if you could just go through the tool and be like, I played with this, whatever. And it doesn't have to be super detailed. It's kind of like a marketing pitch rather than like a technical or documentation sort of thing, just like the feature exists. So I don't think you're going to need to have more understanding than you could get just by using it.
That'd be fine.
Okay, that would be fantastic. And I think Gregory originally mentioned that he wanted to work on writing the blog post, but I know that he's been totally overwhelmed with stuff lately. And so I think it would be a help to get that done for him, but I don't want to do it without him knowing about it. So if we can find some way, like maybe in the blog post issue queue on backdropcms.org, just to add a comment and say, hey, we're going to do this, you know, I know you're really busy. If you want to do it anyway, let us know, but we have a plan in case. And I'm happy to do that after this meeting too, and mention both of you, so you don't have to go find that issue.
Okay.
And then once we have that kind of wireframey content-y bit, we're going to send that over to Jordan at Facet Interactive, and he's going to handle turning it into our newsletter and sending the newsletter for us. In theory, we'll see how much time it takes him to actually write the newsletter. And if it's too much time, then I'll have you push the button on the MailChimp thing too to send it. And that will be probably about a week after release. Send it to them as soon as we're ready. We'll let them work on it, and then we'll schedule it for when we get the first bug fix release of 1.6 out, so 1.6.1, which will probably be like a week or two after. So we've got some time on the newsletter part.
Okay.
And then that was the only two things I thought were super important for talking about this week. But I noticed in the blog post section that Jeff had a draft blog post that I think was 2 weeks ago from when I was sick here. I read it over the very beginning of this meeting after we all joined. I think it looks fantastic. And I mentioned earlier, I think it would be good to publish that one now so that we have some news on the blog before we announce 1.6. That way people who are following along with us will be reminded that we're doing stuff, and then we'll be listening when we announce the release of 1.6 rather than having it come after, a month of silence or so from us. So I think that's a good plan, is to get this one out and then do another one over the weekend or whenever the 15th happens, Sunday-ish, Monday, I don't know, whenever we get to it, whenever we get to the blog. Okay, so thank you, Jeff, for writing that blog post. I don't know how I missed it before. It's obviously been there for a while, but I really like having technical blog posts up as well as beginning ones. And then one other thing I wanted to mention too, while we're having this outreach meeting, is this post that was put up by Doc Wilma about trying to figure out what our goals are. And some of this is specifically related to outreach because we have to figure out like what our priorities are. And if we can make it clear what our priorities are, we can also tell that to people, and everyone else will kind of know what we're up to as well. And so I would just point to this issue. This is in the backdropcms.org queue, issue number 322. There's a bunch of good ideas here about how to handle goal setting, how to run weekly meetings, or just suggestions about things we can do in the meetings. And some ideas about how we should deal with the issue queue. And in particular, if we had a forum, it might clean up the noise in the issue queue, because we have a lot of people talking about things in the issue because there's nowhere else to talk about them. And if we had a forum, that would create a place to have conversations that is better suited to conversations in the issue queue. And when we close an issue, we wouldn't be ending the conversation, which is the problem we're having now. So I agree, forum's important. It's been on the list for a while. It's a hard problem to solve just because there are so many features that could or could not be included in a forum. We really need to figure out exactly what our scope is, and then look at the tools that exist in Drupal, the tools that don't exist in Drupal, and try and figure out like our path forward technically. Like, are we going to use forum module? Are we going to just create a content type and add comments? Are we going to try and port something like Flag to make sure we have all of the features that we want? Like, just trying to figure out what the features are and kind of create a clear path forward from the tools that we have available, with keeping in mind, number one, we have to maintain this thing. That's probably the highest priority concern. So if we write a bunch of custom code, that means we're going to have to maintain all that custom code ourselves, which we don't want to do. But number two, like, all of the features that we probably want in a forum already exist for Drupal. And so we could benefit the entire Backdrop community by porting those modules over. So trying to weigh the cost of like benefit versus like how long is it going to take to do that? It's just something that we can't just say like, oh, throw up the forum module and be done, because that might not be the best decision. We just need to think about it. So I don't know, like, I think the first step in all of that is trying to figure out what features we actually want in the forum. And I know that we have an issue right now that has like 10 people's different personal opinions about things they think are important. And some of those people are people who maintain forums, and so they're from an administrator perspective, and some of those people are people who use forums and things you really like and don't like about Stack Exchange. And some of those people are, I mean, it's just like, we just need to figure out what, I don't know, like what do we want to do? And I don't know that I have a good way to measure any of those things. But my gut instinct would be like, let's just put it up and see what we end up needing as it's used, because our use case might be different than every experience from anyone who has feedback ahead of time, and we aren't going to know that until after we build it. So if we just build it and then see like what comes up instantly, like I really want a whatever feature, we could have a forum that asks what features people want and figure out what needs to be added. I don't know. But yeah, I think that should be our next priority as soon as we get 1.6 out, focusing back on backdropcms.org and getting the forum up for people to talk is high on the priority list. For everyone that's here, is there anything else that you guys want to talk about in today's outreach meeting in particular? That we need to worry about either for Backdrop 1.6 or stuff that's like super high priority for community in general? Okay, so I think what I'd like to do is wrap this meeting, and then we'll start the weekly meeting in half an hour. And I think we should add an item there for revisiting what we should do with our weekly meetings. I think for the last few weeks we've had you know, a very specific focus on stuff for 1.6, but now that 1.6 is going to be out in a few days, it's a good opportunity to kind of revisit what our weekly meeting structure looks like and try and make it work for everyone, starting immediately after that. So let's talk about that in the next meeting. Does that work for you guys?
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, Jen.
Yep.
I'm going to restart my computer, and then maybe my camera will work. Thanks for coming, guys.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
See you.